My first experience with the Latin Mass as a teenager, when I was like 17 maybe, and I went by train to a big city in Poland to see, because I never saw the Latin Mass before, was shocking in a bad way.
Really?
Absolutely. I tell you why. Because I went there, all right, and I always attended. I was an altar server, and I was attending the new Mass and serving the new Mass. And then I didn't know much about the Latin Mass. I loved how prayerful it was. I loved the beautiful hymns and chants and so on. But the time around communion came about, I was about to give the sign of peace to people who are there, and there were many of those. There were many of those around me. And I did so because I didn't know that there's no sign of peace between the people.
Only between the clergy.
Mass. Exactly, yeah. And I did it a very kind, very, very nice nod towards the people around me. And they were very displeased that I did it. That put me off for maybe 3-4 years to get anywhere near around it, because how kind of negative their reception of me was in the church.
Yes.
My personal experience, all right.
Yeah.
I got over it, but it was really tough for me that moment, because I really saw on many faces of those people in the church, like they are really unhappy with me there.
Yeah.
How dare you? That's what some of the ladies were expressing, you know. And I got over it, and as you know, as some people know, I also say the Latin Mass sometimes, and there's no room for such an attitude.
No.
The fact that you attend the Latin Mass, or you consider yourself as a more traditional Catholic or a traditional Catholic, cannot justify that sort of a behavior and attitude.
No.
We are and sadly, sometimes it is given to the other side in the church, even though we should be one, because they are saying, oh, you know, they are too rigid. Sometimes that's what they mean, that people cannot smile or forgive or say, well, forget about it. You know, it's the most important that we are here together and so on.
I think, and this is where, you know, it comes down to catechesis on one Mass or catechesis on the other.
Exactly.
So like when I went to my first traditional Latin Mass, I started saying the Our Father, Pater Noster, qui es in. And I said, oh, and the people looking at me, no, you're not supposed to say that. And I didn't know.
I know, yeah.
And so then
how dare you?
So if you do a bit of catechesis, okay, this is the Mass and this is what you need to say, then people can understand it. So I can understand Pope Francis where he's trying to, okay, if you're going to this Mass, please, you know, in this setting, or if you're going to this, because going between two rites, if you're not catechized, causes this type of friction, which happens, you know.
The idea of Pope Benedict was brilliant one. Two forms of one rite, bringing reconciliation and peace and so on. Sadly, some things were put aside for some time. But I do believe that indeed that's the only way to go forward.